super stick, and the question was 30 years old, 186 centimeters, 95 kgs. Um, 10 kgs down from June till July, which is great. Live 3 times a week, carnivore 500 grams, 5% beef, 16 eggs, 30 grams butter. Every day. Could cut calories or stay. Can weight stall. My goal is 12% body fat. Any advice? So yes, I would try to cut the fat first. So from 140 grams, if you try to go down to 100 grams of fat, and maybe increase your protein by 50 grams, that would be a good advice. So try to do that and see how things are going. I would not cut protein, or don't worry about calories. They are not really relevant when it comes to actually anything. So just increase maybe protein. Try 250 protein, 100 grams of fat, and see how things are going. Also, guys, thank you for being the members of the channel. That helps the channel obviously substantially. So that helps me to actually do these live chats more often. So there is a question. I appreciate the content I had to become a subscriber. Thank you for that. I would love to hear your thoughts on implementing your approach to a body weight routine. Do you add weights or continue prolonging sets with reps? Well, I'm not a big fan of body weight routine, because this is very limiting, because you can't change your body weight. So I would always be in favor of training with weights rather than your body weight. So all these things like calisthenics and stuff, that's all good. But you will be increasing your number of reps to the point that you literally do hundreds of reps per set, which is more like a cardio session in a way. So I would suggest to go to weights and lift weights, because then you can manipulate weights rather than just use the constant weight, which is your body weight. So yes, thank you. I think it was Christine, for your participation, and your support of the channel continues. Thank you for that. My hand strength is prohibiting some of my lifts. Is it okay to use something like Versa grips for some of my pulling movements? Don't know if it's okay, since I'm a girl. Thank you, Christine. Well, I'm not in favor of using any straps or anything like that, because this will simply keep weakening your grip. So you need to develop the strength of your hands. So hands are not just forearms. Hands also make they're made of a lot of little muscles in your fingers, in your hand itself. So all of them have to get involved, apart from your flexors and extensors, which are the muscles of forearm, and they will never strengthen unless you use them. So try to use, especially your pull downs, bent over rows, whatever you do, try to use without any straps, because this is the best advice that I can give you. I never used any exercise for forearms. Many professional bodybuilders never use them as well, because simply they are not necessary if you don't use straps for supporting your lifts. So let your forearms strengthen. I mean, I do pull-ups. I do 5, 6, 7, 8, sometimes 10 sets of pull-ups, and I don't use any straps, any Versa grips or any. They're just gadgets, These things they're just going to weaken you. So I would not use them in order to strengthen your forearms. So try your best. All right, let me see what else is there. BR559, thank you again for your super sticker, for your support. What are your thoughts about stomach vacuum and how should I incorporate it into my training routine? If I wanted to add some carbs back, is whole milk best to add since it has protein, fat, and carbs? Well, first of all, stomach vacuum is posing exercise, and it's also very good exercise that you can do, for example, during or after your abdominal workout. So controlling your abs by fully sucking them in with your hands up clearly improves the control. If you are competing, that will be very important. But if not, it's a good thing to do during session, after session. Obviously, if you are competing during your posing practice. If you want to incorporate some carbs in your diet, yes, you can do that eventually once a week, maybe once every 5 days, maybe once in 2 weeks, depending on the individual and what you want to achieve with them. But yeah, I would advise that to be from rice or sweet potatoes rather than milk, because milk is that milk sugar is very difficult to digest, and I would not advise milk as it is. This is why we tolerate cheese much more, because cheese basically a procedure making the cheese eliminates milk sugar. So what remains is actually just protein and fat. And this is why most people tolerate cheese, but not many people tolerate milk. So I would stay away from milk. All right, let me see what else is there. If I hit 12 reps on the first set and after 30, 60 seconds break in the second set can only do 6 reps, should I drop set to be able to do more sets, up 5 in total for each movement? When if you hit 12 reps and you're close to failure, you should be able to hit more reps than just 6. So you're probably going to failure in the first set, which is not something that I advise. Also, you may need to rest longer. I mean, I said it so many times. The advice that I give regarding number of sets, regarding rest period between sets, is a guidance, is a signpost, is not a recipe. Meaning, not everybody can and should do 30 to 60 seconds for upper body muscles. You should aim to get there, but you may not be able to do it now. So maybe you need 60 seconds, maybe you need 80 seconds. So you have to try and see, because the key is to do as many sets as you can, preferably 20 to 30. And again, this is a guidance. This is the target. So you are aiming to get there. That doesn't mean that you can do that right now, that you can do 20 or 30 sets. So you may do 12, 15 sets, but try to do more sets as you progress. So not everybody should jump into 20, 30 sets or rest 30 to 60 seconds. Another thing that I say so many times is don't become the slave of numbers, because if you start looking at your watch or you have a timer, you're not training. You're just simulating some software program which is not going to work, because you're not a software program, right? So you need to feel what is the necessary minimum of rest. And I said that so many times. You need to start feeling your body. You need to start being instinctive, not just to, oh, Nash said 30 seconds, so 29, 30, up, I do my next set. It just doesn't work like that. I don't measure my time between the sets. I just feel that it's time to do another set. And when I complete 30 sets and the whole session is done in 45 minutes and I done 30 sets. And so many people come and say, oh, how can you do that? Because this is not possible. How to do 30 sets in 45 minutes? It takes me 2 hours. Yes, because you're resting too long. So you need to use this advice as guidance, as parameters. So you don't rest for your upper body 5 minutes. You rest less. Obviously, try to be a minute. But if you need 90 seconds, it's not the end of the world. So this is the point. I would rest a little bit longer and see, because if you do 12 reps in the first set, you rest enough. You should be able to do 10 reps and then maybe 8 and maybe another 7, 8. but I would not do any drop set and stuff like that, because this is another nonsense. There is absolutely no need for that. You're just simulating something which cannot be done, right? So if you cannot do it, don't do it. Do properly. As I said, straight sets, they're gold. Everything else is not. You're welcome, Nick Twaits. Hello, Nash, long-time follower. Can you, long-time follower, can you explain why you can train calves twice per week but no other muscle group? Well, calves are very different than any muscle group. I explain also that in many videos. Calves are made of much more muscle fibers than any other muscle. So you walk every day. In a way, you are recovering them all the time because you are walking. You're constantly engaging them, and you probably, these are the muscles that you used every single day since the day of when you start walking. So if you're 50 years old, you're using your calves 50 years every single day. You're not using your triceps or your rear delts or your biceps every day. Most people never use them in their life, but calves you do. So sometimes some people can train calves more often. People can train calves every other day. Some people can train calves every day, especially if they're enhanced, and they did, like Arnold and similar. So this is the only muscle group that you can actually train like that. That doesn't mean that you have to once a week. Also, Dorian Yates trained calves once a week, had the best calves in the game, mainly because of his genetics. But sometimes I do them twice per week, not every week. Maybe, I don't know, once every other week, if any, depending how I feel, because my training is instinctive and it's going to take some time to get there. Not everybody can train instinctively. Most of you who are watching this video, who are watching my channel, you follow the guidance and it's fine. But I still insist that you start training instinctively, that you start feeling your body. If I said 30 seconds, it can be 37, it can be 42. Because I can't give a universal advice for 8 billion people on the planet. This is impossible. It's impossible even to give a diagnostic for the same illness for everyone. So everybody is different, and the only way that the difference in every single one of you can actually help and manifest itself is that you start feeling finally what you're doing. Okay, let me see what else is there. Vincent asking. Vincent is the member of the channel and is asking. I've seen some gym members put their forearms and elbows on the bench and arch their back when doing lying hamstrings leg curls. Does that help, or should I just hold the handles underneath? Well, people are doing all kind of nonsense in the gym, and what you see is yet another one. I don't know why they're doing it, but you need to understand that most of these lying down leg curl machines are angled, right? So they're usually like this, okay? So your legs are on this side and upper body is on this side. The reason why they're angled is because your hamstrings can be stretched from two sides. One is in the hip and another one is in the knee, okay? So this is the reason why the bench is angled. Now, what they do, they're doing this. So they're going actually on the other side. So they're trying to be in the same line, which obviously doesn't make any sense. Now, what happens when you do seated leg curls? This happens, right? So you stretch more your hamstrings when you do seated leg curls. When I do seated leg curls, people who got my bodybuilding blueprint course, they can see me doing seated uh, leg curls. I lean forward. So I'm when I'm sitting, I'm like this. The machine is made so I should be sitting like I'm sitting now, but I lean forward all the way. Why? Because leaning forward, actually, I extend my hamstrings even more in the hip. So I stretch my calf in the rotating joint, which is knee, anyway, but then I stretch my hamstrings even more in the hip joint. And this is why leg curl machines, lying down leg curl machines, are made angled. So to help you to stretch more, to actually engage a little bit more your hamstrings. So what people do is exactly opposite. So they are extracting the stretch of the hip in the hip of leg biceps, hamstrings. So basically, they don't know what they are doing. So don't worry about that. Just do whatever is they are done. Follow the machines because this doesn't require any adjustments of that sort. When you say 20 sets per big muscle group, how this apply to legs? 20 sets for quads and hamstrings combined, or 20 sets each? Well, it should be 20 sets for quads, and then for hamstrings should be another maybe 10 sets. So you reach 30 sets that way. So let's say you do leg press, you do 7 sets, then you do hex squats, you do 4 or 5 sets, then you do lunges, you do another 4 or 5 sets, then you do a few sets of leg extensions, and then you have lying down leg curls or seated leg curls, and you have straight legs deadlift for hamstrings, and you have reached 30 sets for legs. That's the answer. What are your recommendations on daily coffee consumption? I find it helps me curb my appetite between meals, but what do you consider too much? Thank you for your time. Well, again, this is individual. Some people cannot even drink coffee because it's too strong for them. It just, they freak out when they drink coffee. So some people have 2 coffees a day and they're happy. Some people have 3, 4, 5, maybe depending how strong is the coffee as well. So I usually have 2 or 3 coffees a day, and that's fine for me. What do I recommend? Nobody knows. Try. Obviously, I'm not saying you should have 10 a day. Um, I'm not even saying you should have 1 a day, but find what works for you. And obviously, that can be whatever. Just don't go crazy about it. Don't get hooked up, because if you become an addict, that's not good, because addiction is not good for anything, so including coffee. Do you use or recommend pre-workout or pump formula? If so, which one? If not, which alternative? Well, I don't actually. I don't use anything like that. Sometimes I would have coffee, maybe half an hour, 40 minutes before session. And uh, usually I make sure that I drink water with electrolytes and salt, sodium, which is usually Himalayan salt. So maybe half a liter, maybe more. Not immediately before session, but maybe some half an hour before session, I start drinking water with electrolytes and salt. And this is the only way that you're going to increase your pump. Everything else that you buy is just waste of money. They have psyched up people to buy all kind of stuff, and this simply doesn't work. So salt is the most important, actually. That will give you pump like nothing else. And then during the session, I continue drinking, and depending on the weather, I usually drink 1 liter or liter and a half of water with electrolytes and still Himalayan salt. And that's the best advice I can give to anybody. All my clients are doing that, and I'm advising everybody to do that, because it's a proper hydration. If you just drink pure water, clean water, you will not hydrate yourself. So you need electrolytes, definitely. I just need to do something quickly. Okay. I'm ketogenic since 6 months. My peripheral body parts are vascularized, however, my core looks smooth. The fact I didn't train my abs since years is the main factor. Or just bring it in. That's it. Maybe on the one, just one. One lower. Thank you. So when vascularity is also individual, some people are vascular, training or not doesn't matter. Some people are not. Also, body fat level decides a lot about your vascularity. Nothing to do with training abs or not training abs. Yet, simply, you probably see veins where you have very little body fat, and you don't see them wherever you have more body fat. You should train abs at least once per week, sometimes twice. Again, depends on the individual, but is directly related to fat. Hexentino, thank you very much for your help and your support, your super sticker. And you have asked, can I train my forearms every 4 to 5 days if I feel okay? Basically, I'm asking for arm wrestling training. I should train once a week too. Well, arm wrestling is not something that I am interested in. So you need to talk to professional world champion in arm wrestling, and he will probably give you the best answer. What I always say for forearm, for forearms, the only exercise I do is hammer curls. And this is the third exercise in my biceps workout. So first I do barbell curls, then I wide grip, then I do seated Scott curls, usually using a machine, making sure that you use a close grip. And the third grip is hammer curls, either with dumbbells or with a rope. So I do that once a week. And I don't use any straps. And I advise you not to use any straps. And for arm wrestling, seriously, I can't answer because I don't know much about this. I never did it. You need to get in touch with somebody who is very good in that particular activity, and then learn from him. What else is there? I'm from San Diego. I currently weigh 255 pounds. My goal is 210. I've started 16 hours intermittent fasting. Will fasting this way hurt my workout and muscle gain? Well, again, this is individual. 16 hours a day fasting is a long period of fast. There's nothing wrong with it, but it depends on your experience, depends on your current state, current fitness level, and it may work, it may not work. I'm not a big fan of 16 hours myself. I usually fast around 12 hours. If I, let's say, eat at 10 at night, I will eat 10 or 11 next day. So 12, 13 hours, that works for me. And I eat 3 times per day. There are people who eat twice per day. I do sometimes, and they do well. There are people who eat once per day. So basically, they fast 24 hours. So you need to try and see how that works. But again, you need to experiment. It's simply, nobody can say that is going to work for you. There are a lot of people who tried fasting like this, and then they come back and say, oh, I'm losing muscle, I'm not strong enough. So clearly, again, there is no one size fits all. A member of the channel, Vincent, asking, Serge in his training videos has a very wide grip doing barbell bench. Does that isolate chest more? Absolutely. Not just Serge. Lee Haney did the same. Arnold did the same. So the question one should ask, why this guy did it? So when you do bench press and your arms are wide, you have wide grip and elbows are high up, you're clearly pushing up and finishing the movement with your chest. When the grip is close and you go up all the way, you see how much shoulders start playing, and the higher you go, the triceps will get involved much more. So The answer is absolutely clear. Yes, a wider grip, not too wide, obviously, but just wider than your shoulders, and don't lock at the top, and you will feel it, and you will get an answer immediately, and you will understand why these guys did it. So yes, more isolation of the chest muscle. Another thing which is very important is that I'm doing the video on that, and it's gonna go probably on Wednesday, and it's called "How to Force Muscle to Grow." I'm explaining where is the muscle um, strongest, and in which part of the movement you actually stimulate most growth, and that is always when the muscle is fully stretched under resistance. So all this nonsense that you have to squeeze on the top, yeah, you squeeze, but you use your triceps, and the chest rests completely. So this is not good answer. So the weight, when you fully stretch and then go up without locking, without relaxing the targeted muscle, this is how you stimulate most growth. But watch the video on Wednesday, and in which I explain this in detail. Do you get some information about how much to eat on a day? Well, nobody can tell you that. You need to try and do it yourself. So eat 2 to 3 grams of protein per kg of body weight, whatever is your body weight, multiply with 2 to 3 grams, experiment, find out what you can eat. And eat about half of that in grams in fat, and then find out how that works for you. So there is no 14, 16 eggs as you're mentioning there. It can be 10 eggs, it can be 20, it can be 5 eggs. I eat 5 eggs, I don't eat 16. And 400 grams of cheese. I mean, I don't know. You have to experiment and try and see how that works for you. So again, this is why I do personalized training and personalized nutritional programs. This is why that exists at all. I mean, I cannot give answer to every single one in any of my books. I can talk about principles, and then you have to experiment and try to apply those principles and find out yourself. But it's not easy. So this is why I have created my product, which is called personalized training programs and personalized nutritional programs. So when people order them, I ask them to send me images of themselves, training history, current training program, current nutritional program, health status, goals, etc. And once I have all this information with images, then I create a diet for them. So it's very difficult to say. I mean, it's impossible. You are eating a lot, which is you're probably twice more than me, and you're 68 kgs. I mean, how is that possible? I'm 95 kgs, and I eat 5 eggs a day, and I eat probably less than 1 kg of flesh, whatever it is, chicken, and maybe 350, 400 grams of chicken and 350 grams of steak in the evening, and that's it. But you see how we are all different. This is why. So it's difficult to give this answer. The best advice I can give you is actually just try to experiment and see how that works. Manas Gerlikas, thank you very much for your help and your support. Dr. Nash, question on the diet: high protein, medium fat, low carbs. What is the lowest fat intake? Is it critical? At the moment, protein intake is 360 grams. So 360 grams is a lot of protein, and I don't know what fitness level you are. I don't know how you look. Maybe it's fine, maybe it's too much. But on this amount of protein, I would go half of the amount of fat. So probably 180 grams of fat. If you're in good shape, that's fine. You can thrive on that. If you need to burn body fat, you need to cut down your fat. Maybe go to 100 grams. Or maybe even cut down your protein. But again, it's difficult to say because I don't know anything about you. I can't, I would need information about your training, about meals, size, how many times training, what type of training you do, and obviously see on images as well. So usually I advise fat to be half of the amount of protein for most people. Some people can go higher in fat, some people should go lower in fat. So when I try to get in better shape, I am on about 250 grams of protein and my fat drops down to 50 grams. And then I start seeing my six pack and all the rest starts, I mean, not seeing, but really getting it sharp. But again, there are people who probably need more fat in order to thrive. How many sets on arm day per week? How many for biceps and how many for triceps? Well, I said that in so many videos. You should watch my videos and everything is explained that. So the thing is, I personally, I just did arms on Saturday. So I do 3 exercises for biceps. So the biceps barbell curls, wide grip. I do close grip, Scott curl machine, and I do hammer curls. Every exercise, 5 sets, 8 to 12 reps. Triceps, I do 3 exercises. Every exercise, 5 sets. First one always bar push down. Second exercise, tricep extension behind the head, either French press or maybe just extension with a bar behind the cable extension. The third exercise, push down with a rope. Again, 5 sets each, 8 to 12 reps. So altogether in my arms workout, I do altogether 30 sets, 8 to 12 reps each. Now you can try, maybe do 3 sets each, or try to do 4 sets. Target should be 5 sets max, not more than that. But again, try and see how it goes. And I'm sorry that I see anything that you contributed to the channel, but however, thank you very much if you did, because it just didn't pop out. But it's okay. If I switch to 4-day split, you recommend training each muscle group once a week. How long should I expect it to take before I see an improvement in my cortisol levels? Well, cortisol levels have nothing to do with your training. You can train perfectly, but then if you're stressed, your cortisol can be through the roof. So cortisol is directly related to your everyday life, your lifestyle, uh, work overload, etc., etc. So some people have higher cortisol level than others, and training once every muscle once per week will help when it comes to training, because if you train them twice per week and you train every day, that will definitely pump more cortisol. Or if you do so-called cardio every day, you will have much more cortisol than you should. But as I said, there are many other um, factors. Sleeping as well. You need to sleep at least 8 hours a night. Have a nap every day if you can, 45 minutes, 60 minutes. And I did a video on cortisol, so have a look. Most make videos on how to grow muscle for newbies, etc. Not many talk about those that have reached peak nutty status and can grow more just to lift. Yeah. Well, I did a video which came out yesterday, and you should watch that. I talk about genetical factors. So watch that video. Most of the answers are actually there. So you will never know. How do you know that you have reached the ceiling? If your training is not right, if your diet is not right, and you think you reached the ceiling, but you didn't. So how would you know that? So you need to look at different genetic factors, and I explained in the last video that came out on Saturday, yesterday. So watch the video, watch the full video, because loads of things are explained there. Not many people watch the whole video. It's only 30 minutes. It's not going to be end of the world if you watch the whole video. So I explained a lot about natural bodybuilders and their genetics. So the video is called "The Harsh Truth About Natural Bodybuilders' Genetics." So I think you will find many answers there. Another Serge Nubre question. I watched his 1996 training video, and when he does the incline dumbbell press, he rotates his palms inwards and he pushes up. Does this style work? Well, Serge Nubre and many other people, Sergio Oliva, Bertil Fox, which I also saw training, and Arnold also, they did all kind of stuff. That doesn't mean that all of this is spectacular. Most of those things that I tried to invent were actually nothing special, like Arnold's shoulder press, when you lift the dumbbells and then you turn them up around, and which is absolute nonsense. It doesn't mean if a legend has done something that has to be spectacular. Look at the principles, not individual gimmicks, right? This Arnold shoulder press is absolute nonsense because your shoulder doesn't know where your hands are going because it has nothing to do with your hands. Shoulder directly responds to the movement of humerus, right? So if you want to target the front shoulder, then your elbow should be inside and you're lifting straight up. If you want to target your front and at the same time lateral up to the point, then your elbows should go to the side. So this is how shoulders work. This is anatomy. This is nothing to do with me, Arnold, Dorian Yates, St. Paul, or whoever else. This is anatomy. So once you understand anatomy and once you understand how muscles work, how joints work, then you understand biomechanics, and then you have answers for every exercise. There is no need for any expert to tell you anything about it. But I'm always trying to, even when I do my philosophy lectures, I try to awake that curiosity in people. And I always say at the end of my lectures, if any of you goes tomorrow and buys this book that I have spoken about, for example, about Schopenhauer or Nietzsche or whoever, I'll be very happy, and this evening would be fulfilled, would make some sense, because you need to start digging in yourself. Yes, I can help you, I can give you answers, I can make programs for you, but you are the owner of your life, and more you want from life, more you will have to learn about life, including bodybuilding. So it's all beautifully interwoven. And yes, if you understand the movement of the shoulder muscle or up or chest muscle, I mean, what major pectoralis has to do with movement of the palm? Look, I can do this until tomorrow, and my major pectoralis is not going to move at all. So it's directly related to humerus and the trajectory and the particular angle. If you, depending which part of your chest major pectoralis muscle you want to put emphasis on. For everybody who is saying thank you for the videos, you're most welcome, guys. All of you. I don't want to mention names now because there are quite a few of you. So yes, I'm glad that you find them helpful, and you are very welcome. Is it growing muscle the best way to burn fat long term, even though the increase of metabolism has moderated effect? Is it significant enough for a shredded visual? Well, growing muscles will increase your basal metabolic rate because you need calories just to maintain every single kg of muscle tissue. So it's roughly needed about 50 calories per day for a pound of muscle. So if you put 20 pounds, then look how many calories you will need extra. You need a lot of calories because that tissue needs to be maintained and requires calories in the form of protein and fat, predominantly protein. So yes, increasing muscle size will help you to burn more body fat, but it doesn't mean that if your diet is not perfect, that you're going to get shredded. There are a lot of people who have a lot of muscles, but they still have a lot of fat. A lot of bodybuilders, advanced bodybuilders, even professionals, for whatever reasons, with loads of muscles, are going in the off season and they're getting fat. So they have a lot of muscle, but they have a lot of fat. So diet is obviously critical, and this is that fine line which decides how much protein, how much fat, how much carbohydrates, if any, you should have. And once again, as we are all different, this is very difficult to answer in one session, in one video, in one consultation. So this is why I do this personalized training and nutritional programs and also consultations. and then I can pay full attention to particular individual. So, but the more muscle you have, you will be leaner if you eat correctly. Do you know Charles Poliquin? No, I don't. I never met him. I heard a few stories about him, but he was mainly involved in weightlifting, so powerlifting. So not much to do with bodybuilding anyway. What do you drink after, before, after, and during a workout? As I said, in order to hydrate properly, because it's extremely important that you're fully hydrated before your workout, I drink water with electrolytes and Himalayan salt. I drink that before workouts. It starts some 45 minutes, maybe half an hour, drink half a liter, maybe more. And then during a workout, I drink the same, maybe a liter, liter and a half of water with electrolytes and Himalayan salt. After the workout, I just drink the same thing again, a little bit, depending if I feel I need. And I don't eat anything at least an hour. So sometimes I can have a protein shake and whey protein shake with water, but most of the time I just wait probably a couple of hours, maybe 3 hours, and then I eat again, because your body is still full of amino acids from the previous meal. So if I usually eat 2 hours before I go to the gym. So you need to understand that food is not going to be absorbed within an hour or 2 hours and then simply disappear. You're going to be digesting that meal for 4 or 5 hours, meaning slowly breaking down protein and have that continuous influx of amino acids during the period of 4 or 5 hours. So if you train 2 hours after eating 500 grams or 400 grams of chicken or steak, and maybe 50 or 100 grams of fat with that, that meal will stay in your body for hours. So you train 2 hours later, and you're still, after your workout, you're going to still plenty of amino acids. So don't worry about it. People are just getting psyched up into this eating every 2 hours in order to take 2 or 3 shakes a day. Again, this is called folk psychology. When you think like the rest of the world, which is clearly been deluded with this supplementation of especially protein. So absolutely no need for that. Again, explained in so many videos. Would you recommend training on empty stomach if somebody is doing intermittent fasting and the first meal right after the training at 11, training starts at 10 on an empty stomach? Yes, you can train on empty stomach. There is no problem with that. The only problem is psychological, because there are people who cannot train unless they eat just before they start training, which is another big nonsense and wrongdoing. And you can train on empty stomach, absolutely no problem with that. When I competed, most of the time I train on empty stomach first thing in the morning. So I would just have a coffee, let's say around 8, 9, wherever, and then I would go to the gym half an hour later, and my first meal would be again an hour after workout. So that worked perfectly. So yes, you can. Nothing. Your glycogen is stored day before, 2 days before. So don't worry about it. Absolutely no need to eat anything before you train. I'm quite strong, but struggle to build size and struggle to consume enough protein. I weigh 88 kgs. What would you recommend, please? Well, you can be strong as much as you want. It doesn't have to do anything with building muscle, because being strong is one thing, building muscle is another thing. Bodybuilding is about building muscle. Powerlifting, weightlifting is about lifting weights. So when you say you are strong, you're probably thinking about something that you can lift once or twice. That has nothing to do with bodybuilding. So you may not be really strong, because I take, for example, I do squats, I take 100 kgs and I do 20 reps. Did you ever try to do that? So try, and you will see how strong you're going to be, how many reps you're going to do with 100 kgs. So this is, again, another big misconception about being strong. What it means being strong. To lift weights once, that's very easy. That's easy. Lifting 200 kgs in deadlift once, so what's the big deal about it? Everybody can do that. This is why everybody's doing that. Doing squats with 100, 120 once, fine, great, so what? But do 20 reps as I advise and see where you are. Then you're going to put yourself in the right place immediately. So you may not be that strong at all. And if you want to build muscle, you need to stimulate growth. And for that, you need to do enough reps and enough sets, or nothing will ever happen. I have thousands of clients who came to me with the same issue. Oh, I'm very strong. I can do this. I can do that. Fine. So what is the result? No result. Why? Because they never stimulated growth. So you need to stimulate. How do you do that? Now watch the videos. I've done hundreds of videos on that subject. So don't worry about being strong. Everybody is strong, and that's a relative thing. That doesn't mean anything. So you can move tons of weights, but if you didn't build muscle, you're not going to benefit at all. Your muscles are not going to benefit, your bones are not going to benefit, your connective tissues will not benefit, your cardiovascular system will not benefit, your hormones will not benefit. You are just wasting your time if you're not training properly. And everybody who is training short with low reps, heavy weights, low number of sets, they are just wasting time. They're not benefiting at all. Just wasting time in the gym. Most of them are usually fat, no muscles, and most of them will most likely get injured. I have witnessed that in 45 years of bodybuilding of my career. That's it. So this is why I do what I do, and I talk about what I talk, in order to help people finally start building muscle, burning fat, and stop wasting time in the gym. For all exercises, is the 8 to 12 range better compromise for energy management throughout the session and better accuracy for overload compared to 12 to 20? Well, you have answered the question in your question already. 8 to 12 is for upper body. Legs are 12 to 20. I explained that in my videos. Why is that? Because legs are different muscles. They're made of different muscle fibers. They're completely different anatomy than biceps, triceps, shoulders, chest, etc. So there is no energy management in question. This is muscle growth stimulation. And the number of reps is also less important than time under tension. This number of reps only works if every rep is 3 to 4 seconds. So what actually matters is time under tension, because muscle responds to time under tension, not the number of reps. Often people use light weights or wrong form or whatever else they do in order to do 12 reps. So there is nothing magical about the number 12 or number 20. But the magic is in the advice that they give it to you. If every rep is 3 seconds, 12 reps are 36 seconds. So that tells you something, that your muscle has to be exposed to stress and mechanical tension for 36 seconds minimum. If it's 4 seconds, then it's 48 seconds. Now you understand the importance of numbers? 0. Time under tension, everything. Everything. And when you do 20 reps for legs, and this is 4 seconds each rep, this is 80 seconds. So imagine a set of squats or leg press lasting 80 seconds. We are now entering the world of imagination. So it's not how many reps you're doing, it's how long you are actually under that mechanical tension, which stimulates growth. So when I get people, even professional, even advanced, and they try what I do, they can't stand from the leg press machine because they never did anything like that, regardless of steroids, regardless of years in training. Then they realize actually where are they? They find their place, lost in universe. This is why the number of reps is irrelevant unless you do right time under tension. All right? The muscles have no clue how many reps you do. All they know is how long you expose them to what? To mechanical tension, the most important factor for muscle growth. Are the benefits of posing even if one is not a competitive bodybuilder? Thank you again. Well, if you're not competing, why would you be posing? Maybe if you do some advertising or commercials or something and they ask you to pose, maybe it makes sense. But if you're not, why would you do that? For competitive bodybuilders, posing is necessary because this is the only way that they can show them the symmetry, proportions, etc. And they have to do it, especially before the show, every day, maybe a couple of times per day, in order to memorize that posing routine. Otherwise, why would you? I mean, why would you pose? Hi, Dr. Yotsi. If you were starting again today, how would you train for maximum muscle growth? Which split and exercise would you choose, and what common training advice or mistakes would you avoid? Well, again, everything I just said in the videos, so I don't want to repeat myself. Sorry, but I explained this in so many videos. So you start watching them one by one, and you will get actually much more than that. Yeah, as the guy says, watch the videos, get the free education. Exactly. If I'm skinny, I don't want to drop fat. What should I do? Well, I don't understand. So you want to be fat? Uh, I wouldn't advise you to be fat. If you don't have any fat, fine. Start training like everybody else, like I'm advising, and start eating. And then, depending on your genetics, you will have X amount of progress. This obviously depends on genetics. So watch the video that came out yesterday, and I talk about genetics in natural bodybuilders and how important that is, and what to do if you're ectomorph, endomorph, mesomorph, or combination of these different somatotypes. And next one. What do you think about overcoming isometric training? Does it work? I don't even know what it is. I only know what I know. So I don't. The world is full of people who sell snake oil. So I seriously don't know what is isometric training. So I know what I do to be who I am, and I know what I've done to achieve. I know what Arnold did, and Nubre, and Oliva, and Dorian Yates, and other people. So this type of training, calisthenics, whatever they call them, malisthenics, I don't know. I really don't care about this, because this is not going to make anything. You just waste your time. If you want to build muscle and burn fat, and this is the only subject that I talk about. This is my YouTube channel is all about build muscle, burn fat. That's it. So guys, when you come with something new, don't go. There must be some expert in this so-called whatever isometric training. I really won't get there. I don't need to go there. Okay, what else is there? If you rest 30 to 60 seconds between sets, but keep between 5 to 8 reps without hitting failure. Well, I said 8 to 12. Now I explain why. So again, uncharted territory. How do you know if you do too many sets? Well, you will never do too many sets. If you follow my advice, you will always do right number of sets. So it can be 2 sets, 3 sets, 10 sets per exercise, depending on how much you can do, following one of my advice in how to exercise. So watch the videos. Everything is explained in them. Do you train or recommend training the neck muscles? Well, I never did. Training shoulders, training trapezius muscles, upright rows, shoulder press, um, rowing exercises that for back, they will all involve your muscles. So I never seen anybody. I mean, Arnold never trained his neck or Dorian Yates, so not necessary, not needed. Have you ever trained a fighter before? Yes, I trained lots of professional boxers and also trained martial arts. Yeah, but I only train them in order to increase their muscle mass and strength. I'm not training them to be better fighters. For that, you need somebody who has been a fighter, depending on which sport we're talking about. But I had people who didn't have enough muscle, and they came to me, so I trained them. Yeah, that helped a lot. Do you think calorie surplus is beneficial for muscle growth? What calorie surplus? What is that? What that means? Again, another gimmick. Follow my advice on nutrition, and this is all you need to do, whatever calories they come up to, depending on your body weight, your fitness level, etc. So, not interesting calories. I did a video on calories and why you should not bother about calories at all, because they're absolutely irrelevant. If you have 400 grams of carbs from sugar, right, all day long, this is going to be 1600 calories. Now, next day, you have 400 grams of protein from chicken only. This is going to be 1600 calories. So, eating sugar and having 400 grams of carbs, or eating chicken and having 400 grams of protein from chicken, you will end up having the same number of what? Calories. You see? It doesn't mean anything. It's another nonsense talking about calories. So the moment somebody starts talking about calories to you, how to calculate your daily necessary, just leave the room. Go and watch my videos on nutrition. This is another gimmick where a lot of people fail there. Nobody ever achieved anything with calories. Arnold didn't know what calories are. Can you please give us the best workout for growing deep blocky abs? Leg raises, V-sits, crunches, 4 sets each. Well, you need to understand that abdominals can be trained only in 2 ways: by lifting your upper body up, let's say crunches, or lifting your hips up, let's say hip raises, not leg raises. When you lift your legs without lifting your hips, you're not training your abs at all. So you need to lift your hips, because this is the anatomy of rectus abdominis. Is connected to the pelvis at the bottom, and then is connected to the rib cage at the top. So you have 2 sides of attachment. You either train that muscle by moving your upper body up and down, crunches, or by lifting your hips up. So if you can do that by hanging, leg raises, no, it has to be hips as well up, or crunches. Do you need to do both exercises? No, you don't. You do one. If you do, for example, Roman chair, and you have very steep Roman chair, and you go all the way down, you will stretch your abdominals in your pelvis and in your rib cage. This is the best exercise for abs. Everybody did it. I did it. Everybody who had good abs, big abs, they did it. So that would be the best exercise in general, because lifting legs with lifting hips is very difficult, unless you are some skinny guy, as there are so many of them, and there are some influencers as well who have absolutely no legs, just 2 sticks, and then they can do these 20, 30 reps by lifting their hips and legs and everything, because there's nothing to lift. I mean, my legs were always huge. There is no way that I can lift my hips and legs up in rough reps, so I didn't do it. Dorian Yates didn't do it. So you don't do that. You do what you can do, and the best way to do it, I just explained. So Roman chair would be the best, all the way down, just enough up to engage abdominals, not all the way up, because if you go all the way up, you will be using your flexors. I see some guys in members in the gym use an incline bench to lean against to do rear delts. Does that variation isolate the real delts, or is a gimmick? No, it does. It's a good exercise. You can do that. I don't do it. I just bent over and either seated on the edge of the bench, leaning down all the way, or just bent over, and I do bent over lateral raises. But you can do them on the bench as well. There's nothing wrong with it, because the most important thing is that you use your rear delts in executing the movement. So you make sure that you don't use your trapezius a lot, or momentum. It's very important to feel that. Once you feel, also you need to find the angle. Is it going to go like this, or is it going to go further back, or a little bit lower? You need to find the angle. There are a lot of now modern exercises that people are doing with cables. They cross their arms from the top and they're stretching and feeling, and they work maybe up to the point, but everybody who had big rear delts has done bent over dumbbell lateral raises, period. I have been following your advice for a few months and making good progress. Please, can I ask if you advise to group muscle sets together to rotate with other muscle groups, etc.? Well, I spoke about that many times. I advise if you're training 5 times per week, day one chest, day two legs, then day off, then back, the following day shoulders, and then arms. You can put your curls with shoulders, or you can put your curls with chest, your abs or curls with chest, doesn't matter. So yeah, if you're training 4 times per week, day one chest and abs, day two legs, day three back, day four shoulders and triceps. This is more or less what there is. There are many videos on that, so you're more than welcome to watch them. You still have a great physique. Thank you very much. Yes, I'm always in shape. I'm not really after being huge right now, but I'm trying to be in good shape, and just because I feel great like that. You helped change my life. Thank you very much. I get this every day. A lot of people have changed dramatically. You can read the comments on the videos, and that definitely makes me very happy to hear that people have changed. Somebody sent me a private message today, and he said he dropped from 150 kgs to 115 since January. So he dropped 35 kgs, which is amazing. And yes, this is fantastic. And I'm very happy to hear that. Should I start with upper chest, clavicular, major pectoralis if I want to develop more this area? Should I hit it with more sets than a major muscle? Well, I don't think so. You need to understand that the clavicular major pectoralis is only like 15 to 20% of the overall chest muscle, overall major pectoralis, which is called a sternocostal major pectoralis. So, having said that, you want to pay emphasis on 18% of your major pectoralis. I usually start with flat press. Most of the time is a dumbbell press or hammer strength press. Sometimes I do bench press as well. My second exercise is usually incline press, usually do with dumbbells. I rarely do more than 4 sets. Then I do decline, again, 4 or 5 sets. And then I do 2 isolating exercises, each 5, 6, 7 sets, depending how I feel on the day. But I personally don't start with that. So you can start, try, see how it works, but I would still pay attention to the bulk of the chest muscle, which you can hit by doing a horizontal press or decline press. Why are so many people saying train one muscle group 2 times per week and saying it is scientifically proven that twice a week gives superior results? Well, if you believe them, why don't you just try and see and then come back in 3 months and show us your progress? This is all I can say because I said so much about this nonsense. This is nothing scientific about this. It's all gimmicks, pseudoscience, in order to please people, because it's much easier to train chest twice, to do 10 sets each session, than to do one session, 20 sets. So people will always go and worship the God which will promise them everything for nothing, right? Or these guys who will promise you everything for a little bit of effort. So Steve Jobs said once, if you want people to love you, sell them ice cream, don't sell them books. So that's the answer to your question. Dr. Nash, what do you think about carnivore diet? Almost no carbs. Well, it works for some people. There is nothing wrong with the diet. It doesn't have to work for everyone. I, for example, I'm not 100% carnivore because I eat eggs, I eat fish, I eat um, cottage cheese. So I'm not just meat, right? There are people who just eat meat and they're thriving well. Fine, good for them. Also, I have salads occasionally, or pickle vegetables, and it works for me fantastic, and it works for my clients fantastic. So there is no need to eliminate anything. You don't change the team that wins. So it works for some people. Serge Nubra ate only meat before the show, but then during the off season he would eat even carbs. So again, everybody is different. You need to try and see if it works for you. Fine, it works for a lot of people, but it doesn't have to be. Nothing is a holy grail. So everybody is different. You need to find out what works for you. All I can tell is that everybody who wants to build muscle and burn fat should eat 2 to 3 grams of protein per kg of muscle or body weight, and then half of that amount should be fat. So this is something that has proven over and over again during my scientific experiment, which has been applied to thousands of people, and also myself, and also my son, and it worked every single time. So this is what I call science, and everything else is pseudoscience. I didn't experiment with mice, rabbits, nurses. I experimented with real people who came to me and I trained them, and they all responded like that. So this is the principle that you should follow. Everything else is different. Okay, guys, we're gonna go for another 7 minutes, I believe 5 minutes. So let me see what else is there. Resistant bands training for muscle growth, waste of time. Nobody ever build any muscle with that. I never will. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your compliments. Yes. Thank you, Hayden 2023, for your help, for your super sticker. Where do you rank tendon strength training like Tai Chi, Wing Chun, calisthenics in your more mature years as opposed to when you were in light 20s? Well, I didn't do none of these things that you're mentioning. No what is this called? Tai Chi, Wing Chun, calisthenics. I was always interested in bodybuilding as the most effective way to build muscle and burn body fat. And not just that, but to strengthen tendons, strengthen bones, joints, cardiovascular system, and so many hormonal system, everything. Nothing else benefits your whole physiology and anatomy, the whole system, than properly understood and applied bodybuilding and healthy eating. Absolutely nothing come close. This is why I never wanted anything that doesn't come close, and nothing comes close to bodybuilding. So you're not gonna strengthen your tendons and joints by not using weights. This is impossible. You only strengthen your joints by strengthening or exposing your muscle to stress. So how can you expose your muscle to every muscle on your body to stress more than via bodybuilding? So again, yeah, all roads lead to Rome. When it comes to physical existence, health, strength, mobility, independence, agility, nothing comes close to bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is the Rome, and every single road to physical perfection leads to bodybuilding. You talk about ligaments and tendons healing slower and that you need 1 week to repeat exercise. But what, for example, bench press stress the same joints as, for example, triceps exercise? No, they don't. Only if you train your chest wrong. You see? Again, knowledge is the king. You need to understand anatomy and biomechanics. Why Arnold and Serge Nubre did wide grip bench press? I explained it in the beginning. I hope you heard the answer. Because when you do it properly, you don't stress these secondary muscles. You use them a little bit, but you should not be stressing your elbow doing bench press. But if you do, you're not doing it right. So your chest won't grow and your triceps will suffer and your elbows will suffer. This is why people get injured. So when I do chest, I don't stress elbows. I stress chest. I don't stress shoulders. I stress chest. When I do back, I don't stress my biceps. I stress my back. I use the biceps up to the point, but I never stress. So he's never trained. He's never exposed to mechanical tension as it will be when I'm training it. The same applies to triceps. So when you do your chest, your shoulders, you will never use your triceps and your elbows and stress them if you're training correctly. So this is the answer. My wife does spin classes 4 times a week. What is your opinion on this? Well, it's good fun, but when it comes to fat loss and muscle growth, and especially bone density, it is very important for women, more important than for men, because women after their 40s, 50s, they start suffering, most of them, from osteoporosis, which is leaching of calcium from the bones. And then the bones start deviating, start becoming deformed, causing a lot of pain. So how do you prevent osteoporosis? You have to stop calcium leaching from the bones. How do you do that? Not with taking calcium tablets, but by training your bones. How do you train your bones? Only by training your muscles. Why? Because bones get stronger when you put stress on them. How do you put the stress on the bone? By heavy muscular contraction and nothing else. And now you think about these spin classes. Where is the stress there? If you can do something for an hour, that's not enough stress. So she will be better off to go to gym and train as I advise and do squats and leg press and lunges and bent over rows and pull-ups, pull-downs, bench press, etc. Because everything that she does will be great investment for the future. I'm just editing the video which will come out on next Saturday, next week. And in that video, I talk about benefits of bodybuilding, especially for people over 40, and why most people start losing muscle and bone tissue. And that has nothing to do with age. So I hope you watch it together with your wife. So ask your wife to go to the gym and do bodybuilding, as I advise, for long-term benefit. So guys, I think we answered enough questions. I hope you have enjoyed this and you have learned something new. Also, thank you very much for everybody who supported the channel with super stickers and super chats. And also, thank you for all the channel members, because you're all supporting the channel and making me able to do more often these live chats, which I believe benefit you greatly. So, guys, I'll try to do this again in a week or two. And until then, I wish you all the best.